In the winter of 1963, America was a nation draped in sorrow. Just weeks earlier, President John F. Kennedy had been assassinated in Dallas, and the collective grief of the country hung heavy in the air like a fog that refused to lift. Families watched their televisions in silence. Newspapers printed headlines in black mourning borders. The nation moved through December as if suspended in time, cautious, grieving, uncertain of what the future held. But even in that atmosphere of national despair, another shocking story soon made its way into the headlines. One that blended celebrity, crime, desperation, and unbelievable amateur recklessness. It was a story so strange, so unexpected, and so poorly executed that, decades later, it remains one of the most bizarre criminal events in American history. It was the kidnapping of Frank Sinatra Jr., the 19-year-old son of one of the most recognizable names on earth. Before we unravel this strange and twisting tale, make sure you're subscribed to Crimes Through Time if you love deep dives into historical crime, celebrity scandals, and stories that sound too strange to be real. Hit the like button, it helps others discover these forgotten cases. Now, let's step into the uneasy world of December 1963. A nation in mourning, and a crime that almost seemed to rise out of the chaos of the moment. Frank Sinatra Jr., like his legendary father, had been blessed or perhaps burdened with the spotlight. He traveled the country performing with orchestras, building a career in music, carving out his own identity in the towering shadow of his father. In early December, he was performing at Harrah's Lodge in Lake Tahoe. The lodge, surrounded by frost-covered pines and the cold stillness of winter, was the perfect retreat for performers and vacationers alike. Inside room for 117, Sinatra Jr. relaxed with his friend and trumpeter John Force. They chatted casually, unaware of the danger that was about to enter their quiet evening. Two young men approached the door, that night not with the confidence of professional criminals, but with the shaky nerves of amateurs in far over their heads. They claimed they had a delivery, a simple ruse, but one effective enough to earn them entry. Once inside, they pulled guns, tied up John Force, and forced Sinatra Jr. to the floor. The singer was bound, blindfolded, and led into the freezing Lake Tahoe darkness. Meanwhile, these criminals, these unprepared, inexperienced young men, tried their best to act as though they knew what they were doing. But their plan was already fraying. The mastermind behind the scheme was Barry Keenan, a 23-year-old whose life had spiraled into addiction, debt, and delusion. Keenan, once a classmate of Nancy Sinatra, convinced himself he could create a victimless crime. He reasoned that Frank Sinatra Sr. had money to spare, and that Frank Jr. would be released unharmed. It was, in Keenan's mind, a simple business transaction, a way to solve his financial problems quickly and cleanly. To help him, Keenan recruited two friends, Joe Amasella, loyal but inexperienced, and John Owen, whose nerves would eventually unravel the entire plan. Together, they formed a trio of unlikely criminals, three young men with no criminal experience, no understanding of kidnapping investigations, and no real ability to manage the complexities of a plot involving ransom, evasion, and national attention. Sinatra Jr. was shoved into a car and driven away from Lake Tahoe. The cold air cut through the night as the group fled southward, a blindfolded teenager in the back seat of a car driven by men who barely understood the consequences of their own actions. The drive to Los Angeles was long, tense, and marked by the growing realization that the situation was far more serious than any of them had prepared for. Upon arriving in Los Angeles, Sinatra Jr. was taken to a small house, a safe house in name only. It was not fortified, not remote, not carefully chosen. It was simply where the kidnappers lived. They tied him up in a bedroom, but their behavior toward him was notably polite. They gave him blankets, food, and reassurance that he would not be harmed. Their goal, they repeatedly said, was simply to collect the ransom and walk away. But outside, the world was already changing. When word of the kidnapping reached Frank Sinatra Sr., the legendary singer was overcome with fear. In interviews later, he admitted he nearly lost his mind during those days. He carried around a roll of dimes, terrified he would run out of coins while calling the kidnappers from payphones. The image of Sinatra, one of the most powerful men in entertainment, rushing from booth to booth with dimes clutched in his hand, became one of the most haunting symbols of a father's fear. The kidnappers demanded $240,000, roughly $2.3 million in today's money. In 1963, it was a staggering amount. But Frank Sinatra Sr. didn't hesitate. He agreed immediately. The FBI, too, moved quickly. They recognized the brutality of the situation. A young man, taken at gunpoint, held by 3 unstable kidnappers in a nation still mourning a president. Their strategy was careful, deliberate, and cautious. Back at the safe house, the kidnappers were unraveling. Their nerves were thin. Their instructions to Sinatra Sr were chaotic, changing constantly. Their directions for the ransom drop was so clumsy and confusing that Sinatra Sr almost lost them multiple times. Their incompetence became a ticking clock, every mistake increasing the likelihood of disaster. Finally, Sinatra Sr delivered the ransom. He followed the kidnappers' erratic instructions through Los Angeles, desperate to keep his son alive. The money was successfully dropped, and shortly after, Frank Sinatra Jr was released near a gas station in Bel Air. Cold, confused, but alive, he sought help from a nearby house. For a brief moment, the kidnappers believed they had succeeded. They had the money. They had released their hostage. They had, in their minds, pulled off a perfect crime. But the illusion shattered quickly. The weakest link in the group, John Owen, buckled under pressure. Guilt gnawed at him. Fear overwhelmed him. And within 48 hours of the kidnapping, he walked into a police station and confessed everything. The FBI moved swiftly. Keenan and Ian Messella were arrested, and the ransom money was recovered in full. The trial that followed became a spectacle, part media frenzy, part courtroom drama, part celebrity circus. Frank Sinatra Sr attended many of the sessions, listening with an intensity that betrayed the emotional turmoil he had endured. Sinatra Jr testified calmly, recounting the terrifying experience. The defense, apparently desperate, attempted an astonishing strategy. They claimed that Frank Sinatra Jr had staged his own kidnapping for publicity. The suggestion was insulting, absurd, and immediately dismantled by the prosecution. Even the judge dismissed the idea as nonsense. All 3 kidnappers were convicted because of their youth, their cooperation, and the lack of physical harm involved. Their sentences were surprisingly light. Keenan and Ian Messella served only a few years. Owen received leniency for confessing, but the strange twists didn't end there. In the decades that followed, Barry Keenan went on to become successful in real estate, a surreal outcome for a man once desperate enough to kidnap the son of one of the most famous entertainers in the world. Hollywood producers attempted to buy the rights to the story, but a judge intervened, ruling that Keenan could not profit from his crime. And in one final twist of irony, the ransom money, still sealed in evidence bags, was eventually ordered to be returned to the Sinatra family. The kidnapping of Frank Sinatra Jr remains one of the strangest crimes in modern American history. It was a story shaped not by professional criminals, but by amateurs, young men who believed they could plan and execute a crime far beyond their abilities. It was shaped by desperation, fear, and the haunting grief of a nation already in mourning. And it remains a reminder that sometimes truth is stranger than fiction and far more fragile. Thank you for watching Crimes Through Time. If this story captivated you, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more historical true crime deep dives. And tell me in the comments, do you think the kidnappers ever truly understood how close they came to tragedy? Or were they simply too overwhelmed to grasp the danger they created? We'll see you in the next episode. And until then, stay curious, stay safe,